Vadim Nikiforov, co-CEO at Merkeleon.
Okay.
And you feel, yeah. Mansoor Madhavji, was I correct? Yeah, partner at Blockchain Founders Found. And Adrian Niculescu, CEO of TOMMORROWerse Capital. Is that correct? TOMMORROWerse, I'm sorry.
Can you please come forward?
Oh yeah, we want to have
Yes,
an
please
intimate
come forward.
interaction, for sure.
Don't be shy,
Thank
come
you,
forward.
thank you. You're a kind man, sir.
It's a principle I've learned from
Martin,
Richard Branson.
are you gonna
It's
come
called
closer?
immersion. Come forward, please.
Thank you.
Don't be shy.
Thank you guys so much for being here, because we know you guys are tired. We are tired too. So I'm just gonna go right ahead and start our panel. We're gonna talk about the blockchain ecosystem in 2023. And as you guys remember, discussed this before. You match, you're right here. As you guys discussed it before, we're gonna have a personal conversation about your experiences, right? So let's just start with the first question of how does an ecosystem in our industry look like in 2023? What does it mean? What does this entail? And how is it different from, let's say, 2017, 2018? Mansoor, would you like to start? By the way, feel free to kind of engage, interact.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, thank you for that, Catherine. I think the best is to be interactive. We can all jump in with thoughts. And I think because we're the last panel of the day, for anyone in the audience, if you have anything you want to ask a question on, I think just throw up a hand and we'll get to it.
Go ahead.
I think the big difference with ecosystem is essentially, I would say the early days of crypto, a lot of it was like the emphasis on building the communities around the tokens and things like that. And of course, there still is an emphasis on that. But I think what I'm starting to see a lot more is a lot of enterprise or institutional, like B2B type elements, where it's not necessarily only about like the ecosystem, but some underlying infrastructure, core products. So I think that's maybe a shift as we kind of get, prepared for the next kind of bull run, essentially.
That's a very general sentiment that we're kind of preparing for the next bull run. Adrian, would you agree with that assessment?
I would say that we don't know exactly when will come the next bull run, and we can't count on that, and we can't influence that. So for any projects and any stakeholders which are part of an ecosystem, there should be some priorities like, how do I make the startup profitable? How do I raise money and also get some return on investment for the investors? How I spend wisely to have a financial strategy? How do I innovate, not to be like a copycat project just to make some money? So we are going back to the fundamentals, which should be the source of everything, right? Because they never change.
Fair enough. I think we're kind of in the circle of market where we say we're here for the technology, not for the money, for the technology.
Exactly.
But I get your point. I think because we don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to try to move it along. By the way, if you feel like you have any troubles with your microphones, let us know, okay? So I think it's kind of impossible not to talk about this part of the conversation when we talk about building an ecosystem, and is security. I mean, yeah, it's obvious, but it's necessary, especially after all of the hacks that we have seen. In 2023, we are up to 1.3 billion in assets being stolen so far, so EOD. Yeah. Can you guys double check? Kyle has issues with your mic. Me? Yeah.
Take mine.
Hello.
Hopefully that one works.
Hello?
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Hello! Okay, sorry, no, okay. What was the question? Oh, yeah, security. That was mostly from centralized bridges. It's very important that people understand there's a lot of distractions in this space, right? And people, we look at like I would encourage people to look, you know, to not judge a book by its cover, but to look in between, right? And this is, so we're talking about ecosystems and security. Let's remember what has caused the most damage to our reputation, and it's been centralized companies posing, you know, as true Web3 products. And most of the hacks and most of the stuff has come from centralized bridges, and most of the money lost in our space has been from people that we are still, for some reason, trusting centralized intermediaries with our money, like SBF and like all these other things, Quadriga, these centralized bridges. But I'd like to remind people of why we're all here today, of decentralization, removing middlemen, and not trusting in humans, because time and time again, we've learned that every single person, no matter how much integrity they have, there's always a breaking point, right? But just remember that through all of the turmoil that we've had, with all the money lost, whether it was the the massive domino effect that happened with FTX and 3AC and Luna, what managed to do perfectly fine through all of this was all the DeFi products that we had. Aave, Compound, Synthetics, like these things are all on-chain, verifiable, and autonomous, and they did perfectly fine through all of this death and destruction. So as long as we have verifiable, secure, multi-party audited contracts that are verifiable on-chain with everything transparent, we don't have these problems, right? Then these are what I want to bring attention back to, and I just feel it's my job every time I come on stage to remind people to look at the fundamentals of what we're here for. And it took me a long time, even though I've been in the space since 2012, to finally learn to trust code more than people. So. And when you talk about ecosystems, like on-chain narrative is really growing, right? And people are also learning how to value a bit better different ecosystems too, like with the real revenue and how that revenue is being distributed as well.
I'm sorry to interject a little bit, but you've mentioned that mostly centralized platforms, right, are being hacked. And this year, and it is actually indeed a trend that centralized platforms are the targets. But at the same time, just 2 weeks ago, Mixin Network, it's a DeFi scalability platform. 200, yeah. Well,
they call themselves DeFi, but they're centralized, right? So
yeah.
like you can call yourself DeFi all you want to. You can also call, FTX could also say that he was a Web3 company, right? But he wasn't. It was a Web2 company, centralized, servicing tokens.
Yeah.
Servicing tokens, right? So Mixin was definitely not,
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're marketed as DeFi, but not. Okay, got it. Vadim, I know that you have experience with one of your companies in terms of security hack and issues. You have microphone, right? Everything is... Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
Perfect. So could you tell us a little bit about, as I've mentioned, right, security is something that we cannot not talk about when we talk about building an ecosystem. And Vadim actually has an experience of just a recent hack of one of the companies. Could you tell us, first of all, what happened, how it untangled, and, well, basically, what have you learned? Did you improve your security system? Did you change the code? You know the drill. Go ahead.
Yep. Is it good?
Yeah.
Hello. Maybe I can switch off to the other one.
Hello.
Give me a second, please.
It's me.
Should be fine. Yeah, we recently had a hack for about 30 millions of euro. And
Which company could you state? Which company?
Coinspay company. And this is our partner company. And the case is interesting because it was not instant. The procedure that took about half a year. Hackers been trying to attack the system outbound, and they did not manage that. And they tried to do social engineering. This is something interesting because the cases we faced during the investigation that they've been contacting our employees and in LinkedIn and doing kind of really sweet offers. Like they've been proposing a job in Crypto.com with a salary about 20K, 25K for regular. employees, and they've been doing kind of job interviews with them, and on some stage they proposing to download the software to do the test kind of work, and after many trials they got access to some employees that faced the security breach. And the lessons that we learned, first of all, everything is fine with our customers.
When you say everything is fine, do you mean that the assets are safe or going to be returned?
Money are gone. And as we kidding about that so we think that Lazarus Group is the hackers that behind that, and we make a joke that we just gave our money for nukes for the North Korea. And anyway, we covered everything with our own funds. Customers' funds are safe, and also important.
As these. Sorry.
And also to mention that hackers didn't get access to private keys and so on. They're just kind of breach that allow them to transfer some funds, but in general it's all safe. And we spent about months of working 24/7 with our team to improve the security, to figure out, to investigate what happened, and to be sure that this case will not appear. And there is a huge list of procedures that we implemented to avoid such situations in the
So
future.
from the security standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to share that maybe for everybody to think of? I'm not very good at the tech part of it, but maybe someone can learn something. Just like do this 100%. It's going to
I can
ensure
say
your assets.
talk to your employees and don't let them look into the offers
Okay.
from
Okay.
LinkedIn.
That's one way to go.
Better let them talk to HR and discuss the growth opportunities.
Well, that was an unexpected conclusion, but thank you.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. Also, when we talk about building a company, most specifically ecosystem in 2023, and this is one of the great things I think in the industry, is community, right? Community engagement, user engagement, social media presence, if you will. So I would love to direct this question to, first of all, Mansoor. How would you recommend to build and engage community in 2023 for your ecosystem startup?
Yeah, I think that's in. Which one of these is working? Hello?
Use
Hello?
both.
I'm not sure. But I think that's an interesting question, specifically because we get a lot of pitch decks where people try to show how many users they have in a Discord or a Telegram or whatever. And oftentimes, I think it's irrelevant entirely. Like, if it's like a B2B company that's working with like OTC providers trying to be like, yo, we got X number of people in our Discord, it's not relevant. And then in other cases, if it is a B2C company and there'll be this, 50,000 followers in our Telegram, and then I wonder, like, what are these users there for? Because, like, even in the Web 2 world, there is, product hunt where people will be like, oh, I'm passionate about this product, I'm part of this community. And in crypto, a lot of time, those people are there because of some incentive with tokens. And so it's not necessarily a genuine conviction that, like, hey, these people are ambassadors or excited to use the product. Whereas, like, if they're like waitlist registrations, that might be an indication of people going to use the product in the future. That's maybe more interesting. Of course, like, when we're talking about engaging the community, I think just being active, open, AMAs, this kind of thing is very valuable. But I think, like, there's this part sometimes that's overlooked is like, what is the reason that this community is there? What's the incentive behind it? Because oftentimes it's like the promise that there's going to be some product in the future. Well, then I wonder, like, well, then build the product, get them to sign up, and then let's talk, right? And so a lot of times it might be too early and the incentives might be misaligned.
I have a question. Who is doing this right? From all of the companies and products that you have interacted with or worked with, who is doing the community the right way? Names. I need names.
Well, I think like if you look at Wall Street Bets, for example, it's a
Okay,
really good
yeah.
example of a proper community.
They are great.
And if you have if you have a community that was born in the bear market and there's over 1,000 or 2,000 people, it's probably botted, or people are there for a $250 airdrop or something. Like Mansoor was saying, if there's no product, why are they there, right? They're usually there to farm something. But I think that's really it's interesting. Like, and one thing that people have to understand too, if you have a B2B product, yeah, there really isn't. There's no real need for a community. That's not where it really happens. Although I think or they're speculating on like money, right? Like Chainlink is a B2B product, right? But people are obviously very excited about the growth and what they're doing. So they have one of the strongest communities of the space because they're building something really cool. And that's the interesting thing about tokens, right? Is it gives the everyday person an opportunity to have a piece of the upside if the revenue model is properly generated, right? So like this is what I wanted to say earlier too, which is really interesting. You have similar big projects working on similar goals. You've got Quant Network, for example, building an over ledger for enterprises, but then you have, and they've been trying to solve this interoperability between chains for a long time. But then you have now Chainlink with CCIP coming along, who's built something in a different type of approach to solving the same problem. The difference is that with Chainlink, all of the community members, by owning the Link token, they get exposure to the success and adoption of CCIP versus Quant Network. It doesn't necessarily work in the same fashion because there's a huge centralized company behind Quant that does revenue model generation for shareholders. And so it's really about trying to align incentives with community members. Why do they want to be there, right? What's the purpose of them? Either if it's a B2C, then hopefully they'll be using the product. But let's face it, most people want to make money in this industry, and so there should be some sort of financial incentive for them to be there. And if it's a B2B, then then they also have to have skin in the game by owning some of those tokens and then seeing the success of that company directly. That success directly generates more positive price action in that token, for example. So this is why communities exist, really. I mean, but DAOs are cool, but they just haven't really taken off so much yet. But they will. This is like a DAO. A good example of a good DAO would be like the Wall Street Bets.
So what I hear you saying is, I mean, community is obviously very important. Great content, memes, if you will, interaction with your users on a daily basis, but also perks that you can provide, right? So perks and sometimes even product features that are based on the community. Is this the success story for a great community?
Maybe, but also you want people there for the right reasons, right? You want people there because you want people there not just to look like Mansoor was saying. You don't want them there just for numbers, right? Because then that's like it's like fake advertising. For example, you want people there who are going to use the product. So I mean,
Adrian, I have a question. Among the companies that you work with or finance or invest and manage, who is doing this right in terms of the community and product? Why are you laughing? Is this a hard question?
Yes, because I want to put it in a context.
Okay.
It will be, I will start with the previous question about decentralization.
Okay.
And I will arrive to the community building thing. First, I'm a marketer, right? I can, through copywriting, I can sell anything to anybody. Meaning that if you know your target market, you can design a message which could put that person to put a second mortgage on their house to buy your course. You know, this is like fire. You can use it for cooking food or to destroy something. Decentralization is an abused word because we are in the very, very early stages of decentralization. It doesn't exist. And if you want to build a community, most of the service providers to build a community are on Telegram. People with hidden phone numbers, with hidden faces, ready to do whatever it takes to squeeze money from a project. So to do it right, it means that from the 1,000 people you are speaking with, is to fail forward to find the 1 to 3% which will really help you to do that. Because on Telegram, you can buy likes on all, or watch list on all coin trackers. You can buy everything, actually. This is the new dark web. Telegram is the new dark web. And many providers will use bot software, will steal from other groups just to provide you numbers, right? But will not have any value because these users will never become backers of your project, right? And to do it right, first you need to, and this is how we try with all projects. This is a formula. First, when you have a project, you design your ideal user persona, you could say. In normal economy, you say ideal customer persona. Who are the people I'm targeting? From there, I start a communication focused on that type of people, on that demographics. So when those persons will scroll Telegram or social media, will see something resonating with them. I always prefer not building on hype, avoiding hype. A little bit of hype is good, but looking at fundamentals. How do you want to serve this community so you will resonate with the kind of people you want to have in your community? And once you define how much is your target market, you will have to build there. This is the right way.
This is the right way, actually. couldn't said it better myself. The thing is that we don't have a lot of time. Actually, we don't have any minutes left, but...
Can we reset the timer there for another...
Absolutely, just give me 1 second. Here's the thing. We have actually discussed a lot on our call, but unfortunately, due to timing and scheduling issues, we cannot touch everything, but I really want you guys to finish with your thoughts, so let's say recommendation, for someone who is looking to build or looking to raise money for their ecosystem, right? Do's and don'ts, or one piece of advice, just something to kind of leave them with today, but what would you recommend to do or not to do for a startup founders who are building ecosystem? That's the last thing, I promise. Kyle, what would you be your recommendation?
Yeah, there's a lot, but I can't say it all. So best thing to do is follow me on Twitter and YouTube. Just search my name. Because I run a startup studio, VC. We talk about token economics, education. I've been in the space for 12 years, and so I can go on for days, but I literally do on my YouTube channel and my Twitter, so just follow me there, and you'll get all the alpha that you need.
So we're talking about any kind of recommendations, yeah? As we provide white label crypto exchange solutions like wallets and so on, we work with startups. And we see a lot of companies that just got a bunch of money and they would like to put it into and expect that to work. I will recommend to do some basic stuff, like to understand what the problem you're trying to solve and what it brings to the market. Also, it's highly important to get a kind of experienced team who could lead this project. And of course, don't forget about proper budgeting, because a lot of companies, they spend a lot of funds at the beginning and they cannot keep the business running later.
So proper positioning, budgeting, if you will, or great CFO. And, I'm sorry, the second one. So proper positioning, knowing your market fit and audience.
Yeah, something
financing.
Like that.
Okay, so somewhere between the lines. Mansoor, please, what would you kind of advise?
Yeah, so I run a VC. I also have to say I agree with Kyle on his advice. Follow him on Twitter.
That is correct. Yeah,
I follow him as well, and that maybe answers the question on community, because I think he's done a good job at building one. But I'd say the big thing on advice that I think I would like to see people do more, and the people that do this well, I think, have success, is instead of just saying what you're going to do, I think the how, right? And as an investor, I understand that founders don't have all the answers, but I think what's trying to be communicated is for us to believe that they have a plan of action, how they're going to figure out all the things that they don't know. So better than saying, I have 10,000 users on my platform or in my Discord, to say, hey, this is my customer persona, like this is the hypothesis I have, this is how I'm going to test it. based on these insights, I'm going to get to figuring out these other questions that we have. And that oftentimes, even if it's earlier stage, can demonstrate a level of understanding and give confidence in what the founder is trying to accomplish.
And I'm sorry, but you mentioned on the call one of the things that I feel founders feel like they have to do, and they do this a lot, but they shouldn't. You said they shouldn't talk about themselves a lot, right? So did you mean focus on the product and company, or...
No, I don't think that was me.
Huh.
Like, I don't think I said that. I like to know about the founders.
I have notes.
Like, I think at the stage that we normally invest, a big part of it is investing in the founders, and oftentimes, because we'll invest so early, oftentimes like what's pitched as the initial business is not what actually ends up being the business. Like, it pivots, it iterates. And what we're looking at is like, do we believe in this founder? Like, do you feel comfort giving this guy money and getting an ROI back in the future? And a lot of times I would say the person, the team has much more emphasis on it than the product or the business at the stage we're investing.
Yeah, sorry, I double checked. That was actually Adrian who said that. I'm sorry. What's wrong?
How many minutes do I have? At least 2 minutes?
How many minutes do we have?
1 minute. Oh.
Make it
So
count.
very fast.
Tough conditions.
I'm a Gemini, so I'm both investor and entrepreneur. We have a dual nature. And look at the white paper as a detergent commercial, right? And if you are a founder looking to find investors, there is a small blueprint with 3 bullets you need to follow to be successful, I would say, because the investors, and this is our blueprint actually, are looking at 3 things. First, they look at the team, as you said. The team is the most important. If a team is available, even if the project may fail, they will find a way. If the team is made of scammers and serial, I don't know, it will not work. You know, it's a pattern. Second one, if there is any innovation, you need to put innovation in your project, either intellectual property, if it's about blockchain, maybe a new blockchain, or a new something, an e-commerce innovation, in a patent pending, or something else, you know, to differentiate yourself. And the third thing, and very important, the potential of mass adoption. Any investor would like to discover very early a new potential Twitter, a new potential something which will conquer the world. And if you follow these 3 when you are building your project, and as the last word, don't talk only about yourself, because many times the founders say, do you want to join my party with 100K? This is the kind of messages I get on LinkedIn. And I said, man, with 50K I will make in Vegas with my friends. They will remember the whole life, you know? So think about what's in it for the investor. Because what do the investor want? A return on investment, right? Maybe they want just to put money, maybe they want also to be advisors, you know, smart money to contribute, but also to make a return on investment. Don't talk only about yourself, right? And stand out. Thank you very much. This was my extended minute.
Adrian, that was definitely longer than 1 minute. But don't you worry. You've got to take the opportunity while we have you on stage.
That is correct.
Thank
Thank you guys so much for your time and for
Thank
joining.
you, Catherine. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to our fantastic panel there.